Hey everybody, Brendan here. Welcome back to another tournament game video. Today we are going to be covering round 5 of the Mississauga Summer under 2100 section. So I ended up losing my first game and then I ended up winning the next 3. So it hasn't been the worst tournament ever. I wasn't fully happy with my play in some of the games, but being up +2 is still a relatively good result, so there's nothing too much to complain about. Now I'm playing against Vibov, who is like really high rated when it comes to FIDE rating, and I'm hoping to score a win maybe, but we'll see how the game goes. We see d4, knight f6, c4, and e6, so we see the Nimzo Indian here. Knight f3, which is the anti Nimzo, or the anti-Indian positions. I'm just used to playing that f3. d5, knight c3, d takes c4, e3, a6, I took back, b5, bishop d3, and bishop b7, so black gives back the pawn, but gets some development and gets a nice bishop on the long diagonal. Castles, knight bd7 here, queen e2, c5, takes, knight takes, bishop c2, bishop e7, just natural development thus far. a3, potentially to go b4, knight ce4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, knight d2, trying to just trade everything off at this point, because I already feel like I'm slightly worse because the bishop on b7 is very annoying. And we start trading off more. Bishop f6, and this is the first kind of key point of the game. Right, I don't know why I didn't play the move. It's relatively obvious, and it offers an advantage, which is bishop b4. This is just a problem for black here, because if they take, this looks tempting, but this is actually just no good. Rook a d1, queen c7, bishop d3, bishop f6. There's this funny line, yeah, now rook c1, queen b6, queen d2, important move. The idea is we're threatening actually some bishop a5s possibly, as well as like just going to c5 as well. I don't think is even that bad. Rook d8, we can't really go bishop a5 because there's rook takes on d3 here that we have to watch out for. Rook fd1, rook d7, bishop to a5. Now rook takes d3 doesn't work because this would be winning, and queen to d6, queen e2, queen takes a3, but bishop takes b5. This is actually just winning for white because it'll just be up in exchange. Something interesting to show. But yeah, that's actually kind of a big problem with the way black has developed their pieces thus far. So that was kind of my only chance here. Rook a b1 instead. Now I want to go bishop b4. Queen b6. And I go e4 to avoid any queen c6 stuff. So, because yeah, queen c6 would be really, really annoying. Bishop d4. I play king h1 because f2 was a target. Now I just want to play f3. So I'm playing a little boring. I don't know. I think the big reason why I was playing like this is because I wasn't relatively happy with my event so far. Like, I don't think I was playing that great. So I'm just kind of going for an equal position at this point, because I feel like I misplayed the opening already. And my opponent also said that after the game. They thought I played it like really badly. So yeah, I'm just going for equality essentially here. Castles f3, rook fc8, bishop e1, and I'm gonna like reroute to e3 probably. a5, bishop d3 first, and the idea here is to try to cover b4, bishop a6 problems. They played b4. A takes b4, a takes b4, and b3, and then they made a practical mistake. It's not a mistake, but it's definitely a practical one, which is bishop a6, which looks like a fine move, but there's a problem. Can you see the problem here? White to move. I'll give you a little time to pause. Okie dokie. All right, hopefully you guys found time to pause and figure it out. So the problem here is bishop takes a6. So okay, wow, that was easy. But why? Why is this actually a good move? Because if queen takes a6, this is relatively easy to see. That bishop takes b4 is possible. This is still fine. Like, I don't think this is really that awful. Maybe this variation could be a little bit worse, but generally it doesn't feel like there's too much to worry about. Like rook b6 and rook b8 should come. Feels like the pawn will drop, so that's less of a concern. But what about the game continuation? Bishop takes a6 and rook takes a6. Well, here it turns out bishop takes b4 is possible anyways, because the rook on a6 is hanging. Of course, taking it would be a huge mistake, and my opponent did not do this because that would justify a lot of what I've done, and I played pretty horribly, so that would not be a good idea. Instead, they play rook c to a8, trying to get on the second rank, which is annoying. I played queen to c4, trying for some activity here. Rook a2, bishop c3. The idea of bishop c3 is I'm trying to trade off this bishop, where I can then go rook g1. I'm a little concerned of some sort of position where they get both pieces, or both rooks on the second rank, and then I can't play rook g1 because g1's covered by their bishop. So here, bishop c3 was mainly to allow myself to play rook g1, which is what happened. They traded. h5 was played here. And yeah, maybe I could have gone with something a little bit more interesting, like queen e5, trying to press a little bit, but it's just a pawn, and in a heavy piece ending like this type of pawn matters so little that there's not really any chances here, unfortunately. So what happened was h5. I played b4, starting to push the pawn. They played rook e2, starting to get control over the second rank. Queen c5, offering a trade, because if I thought if I didn't offer this trade and they get the second rank, then even though I'm a pawn up, I could find a way to mess it up. And by how I was playing the past few games, or just this whole tournament, I thought that was actually very likely I'd just mess it up somehow. So instead, yeah, we traded queens, rook a to a2, rook g1 to cover the g2 pawn here, and then rook a c2. So unfortunately the pawn should be lost. There is one trick here to mention. Rook c1 looks tempting, but rook takes g2 is a huge issue. They're threatening mate, so we have to take one of the rooks. But no matter what rook we take, we are losing the game. Because if we take on g2, they can take on c1 and then take on c5. They can also calculate this ending, which looks like it's probably just winning, actually, if we go through it. Yeah, looks relatively promising. But they only they have chances here. It's just stupid to allow rook takes g2. Of course, if takes, then they can just take here. That's actually really important. Rook takes c2, and then they just take c5. So the easy way to play this position as black is just to take c5, and then this is just even though it's a 4v3, this is completely two results, and black has actually pretty good winning chances because the pawns are split in a really uncomfortable way. But all right, yeah, of course I don't do that. I play rook b8 check and then rook c8. But there's not really much to do here. I thought one thing that they could try was h4. I thought this is kind of promising. The idea is just to get the pawn to h4, just make it harder for my king to move without having to push my pawns and create weaknesses. They didn't do that. They played rook c3. I played h4 because I want to be able to play like king h2, g3, f4 if I need to. Rook ec2. And after rook to f8, f6, and then rook to e8, I offered a draw, and my opponent accepted. They were low on time. They had like a minute or two, and I had like 10 or 5 or 10 minutes. I still just offered a draw. This is clearly going to draw. Like, if anything, I'm going to mess it up because I just wasn't playing well all tournament. So that's how the event ended up going. I ended up on +2, I believe, because I won 3 games, lost 1, and then I drew my final game. I ended up gaining rating from this one, which I was happy about. No, I didn't sorry, I gained rating from FIDE rating from this, which I was pretty happy about. As to whether or not I gained rating, I gained like 5 points, so that's not too bad. But it's only 5 points, so it doesn't really matter. But that's about it. That covers it for the tournament. Again, not really the most impressive. Not amazed by any of these games. Some of them I just got like lucky positions out of the opening where it just felt like it was only me that could push. And for the ones that I lost, it felt like I was making silly mistakes that were kind of really unnecessary. Well, I guess there's only one loss. Where I was just making unnecessary mistakes. In this one, yeah, there was a lot of inaccuracies in there, and I maybe could have pressed a little bit more, but that's about it for this tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and the next one will be much more interesting. We will finally be covering the Canadian Open, which I ended up playing in, which does have a game I'm relatively proud of. So I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.